Story 1. The secret of happiness, you see, is not found in seeking more, but in developing the capacity to enjoy less. Socrates. Story 2. Better to light a candle than to curse the darkness. It makes me realize how useless it is when I give in to self-pity. Story 3. Deaf people can do anything hearing people can do except hear. I was born deaf. I thought I was totally different from everyone. I lived in two different worlds until I came across this quote. It inspired me to continue pursuing my goals with determination. Push through and follow your path. Story 4. The best time to plant a tree was 20 years ago. The second best time is today. Story 5. Great minds discuss ideas. Average minds discuss events. Small minds discuss people. Eleanor Roosevelt. Story 6. The windshield is larger than the rearview mirror for a reason. Story 7. I imagine one of the reasons people cling to their hates so stubbornly is because they sense that once hate is gone, they will be forced to deal with pain. James Baldwin has many great quotes. This made me more empathetic. Love life more than the meaning of it. This is from the Brothers Karamazov. I think this could be helpful for many middle and high school students. Story 8. Comparison is the thief of joy. That phrase explains itself. It helps me remember to be grateful for the things I have in life and not compare my story to someone else's. Story 9. Some days you are the windshield. Some days you are the bug. Story 10. Two quotes from Marcus Aurelius. Everything we hear is an opinion, not a fact. Everything we see is a perspective, not the truth. This helped me stand back and contemplate any argument more objectively, helping me grow as a lawyer. If you are distressed by anything external, the pain is not due to the thing itself, but to your estimate of it. And this you have the power to revoke at any moment. This always helps me accept that things happen to me that are outside my own control. Story 11. It is hard to soar like an eagle when you are flying with a group of turkeys. Story 12. I saw the quote, "How wonderful it is to be alive. Please forgive me for forgetting," in a blog, and it changed my life. It made me realize I have spent too much time not appreciating life, and I will only regret that. Story 13. Do not wait to strike until the iron is hot, but make it hot by striking. Story 14. People do not have to like you. People do not have to love you. People do not even have to respect you. But when you look in the mirror, you better love what you see. Story 15. Most people are too busy thinking of themselves to think about you or what you have done. Story 16. There was one line that my wife said to me this year that changed my outlook. I work in a technical position, but the pay is not great. I get paid to work from 8 a.m. to 4 p.m. but would regularly stay until 5:30 to 6:30 to make sure whatever I was working on was done. This is fairly common in the office. My wife just flat out asked me why I stayed at work so late. I said it was to make sure the projects were finished on time. She said, "But you don't get paid for unpaid overtime." I thought she is right. I don't get paid enough to donate my valuable time to a multimillion-dollar company that doesn't believe in sharing the benefits. Now I leave at about 4:15. Everybody looks at me. I don't care. Story 17. There is a fine line between self-confidence and arrogance. The more you show off, the more others will celebrate your misfortunes. Dominic Tuzge, my boss when I was 25. I had just started my career and was really good at what I did. Within 5 months, I learned the technology at an enormous pace. I wasn't rude, but I was talking negatively about someone else who had an ego. This lesson stuck with me throughout my career about being modest and praising others for their good and hard work. Story 18. To love at all is to be vulnerable. Love anything and your heart will be wrung and possibly broken. If you want to make sure of keeping it intact, you must give it to no one, not even an animal. Wrap it carefully around with hobbies and little luxuries. Avoid all entanglements. Lock it up safe in the casket or coffin of your selfishness. But in that casket, safe, dark, motionless, airless, it will change. It will not be broken. It will become unbreakable, impenetrable, irredeemable. To love is to be vulnerable. C.S. Lewis. Story 19. The grass is never greener on the other side. The grass is greener where you water it. Story 20. There are already many replies, so this will probably get buried, but we are what we repeatedly do. Aristotle. To me, there is no greater quote. This is the true essence of humans. Everything we do over and over is what we are. There is no greater truth. If we study, we become smart. If we practice a skill, we become better at it. If we are lazy all the time, then we are just lazy. If we eat lots of food, we are fat. If we work out consistently, we are more fit. Muscles follow this. Brains follow this. Fat storage follows this. Everything about a person follows this principle. Everything. It reminds me to keep at it. If I want to change, it is going to take time. I have to build habits and stick to them. Otherwise, I am building habits that have no purpose. Bad habits, someone might call them. Ones that change me into a different person than the one I want to be. Story 21. The only thing more powerful than a man with unlimited resources is a man with nothing to lose. Story 22. Motivation is temporary. Consistency is what turns it into a lifestyle. Menos me vedo. Story 23. I don't have to, I get to. Regarding running errands, keeping medical appointments, or just getting things done. Some people would love to have the ability and mobility to get things done. Story 24. Talk less, say more, and when you make a promise, keep it. I thought this was cheesy when I was younger, but the code of the West is relatively common where I grew up, and I appreciate it more now. Story 25. Sometimes glass glitters more than diamond because it has more to prove. Story 26. My mother told me, if you love something, let it go. If it comes back, it was yours. If it does not, it never was. And that is something I think about a lot. Story 27. I am never going to be good enough for you, am I? Ed Woods. Story 28. Be strong enough to be gentle. Peter Cullen, the voice of Optimus Prime. Someone from a toxic masculine family. That quote changed my life. Story 29. Do not let what you cannot do interfere with what you can do. Story 30. Be who you are and say what you feel because those who mind do not matter and those who matter do not mind. By Dr. Seuss. Simply succinct. Story 31. The true voyage of discovery consists not in seeking new landscapes but in having new eyes. Story 32. Part of becoming an adult is undoing many of the things people said because no one really knew what they were doing either. Story 33. Angel. Well, I guess I worked it out. If there is no great glorious end to all this, if nothing we do matters, then all that matters is what we do. Because that is all there is. What we do now, today. I fought for so long, for redemption, for a reward, and finally just to beat the other guy, but I never got it. Kate Lockley. And now you do? Angel, not all of it. All I want to do is help. I want to help because I do not think people should suffer as they do. Because if there is no bigger meaning, then the smallest act of kindness is the greatest thing in the world. Story 34. You can take care of your health, or you can take care of your illness. You decide. Story 35. Between stimulus and response there is a space. In that space is our power to choose our response. In our response lies our growth and freedom. Viktor Frankl. Story 36. There is nothing enlightened about shrinking so that other people will not feel insecure around you. We were born to make manifest the glory of God that is within us. It is not just in some of us, it is in everyone. As we let our own light shine, we consciously give other people permission to do the same. Nelson Mandela. Story 37. If you chase two rabbits, you will lose them both. This is a quote from Civilization V. Story 38. If the circumstances in your life are not leading you to where you want to go, change the circumstances. Story 39. You're not for everyone and that's okay. It is what it is. Me with depression. If you can't do the time, don't do the crime. It really is that simple. Family isn't an excuse for bad behavior. I have cut them out for over 10 years now. Story 40. Everything happens for a reason, and sometimes that reason is that you made a bad choice. Story 41. And now here is my secret, a very simple secret. It is only with the heart that one can see rightly. What is essential is invisible to the eye. Antoine de Saint-Exupéry, The Little Prince. Story 42. Perfection is achieved not when there is nothing more to add, but when there is nothing left to take away. Antoine de Saint-Exupéry. Story 43. Don't quit your dream because it will take a lot of time. Time will pass anyway. Story 44. About 6 or 7 years ago, I heard a quote saying some people hear 9 out of 10 businesses fail and think it is a risky move. Other people hear it and think they need to start 10 businesses. I like the philosophy of persevering in times of doubt. It is positive and solution-oriented instead of defeatist. It has made me stop and rethink when I am overwhelmed with work and life, and find the solution more often. Story 45. Some people come into your life for a lifetime, some people come for a season. You have to know which is which. Some people are like leaves on a tree. The wind blows, they are unstable. When the seasons change, they wither and die. Most people in the world are like that. Some people are like a branch. They will make you think they are strong, but the minute you step on them, they will break and leave you high and dry. But if you find 2 or 3 people in your life who are like the roots at the bottom of that tree, then you are blessed because those are the kind of people who are not going anywhere. Medea. Story 46. The minute you think of giving up, think of the reason why you have held on so long. That helped me to stop hurting myself. Story 47. The burden of consequences rarely arrives prepared. Story 48. A big one for me was when I was told, "You are not responsible for how people feel." This is the essence of Eleanor Roosevelt's famous quote. No one can make you feel inferior without your consent. I never really understood what that meant when I heard it in Princess Diaries until I learned years later that I do not cause other people's emotions. The whole "you make me feel guilt" trip? Now we therapy professionals know to reword that as, "I feel uncertain." Emotions are like reactions. We don't control others' reactions, and we are responsible for our own. That shift in perspective was key to beginning my journey of recovery from severe depression, suicidal ideation, self-harm, and severe eating disorders. My taste in men has greatly improved since I no longer tolerate mistreatment. Story 49. Life is only as meaningful as you fool yourself into thinking it is. I saw it carved into the wood on a bird-watching stand when I was about 12 and have never forgotten it. It is from the movie Stuck in Love. I mostly use it as a reminder to not be so hard on myself. Story 50. If you are not out of my house by the time I get back, I am going to kill you. My father using his one phone call from jail. Story 51. The mental clarity you seek is in the physical training you avoid. Story 52. It's not that we really become adults, we just can't afford to stay children anymore. This quote comes from an anime called Miss Kobayashi's Dragon Maid. It's a pretty fun slice of life, and this is said by the main character explaining life to her dragon friend and maid. I don't remember the specifics much, but I do remember this quote. I watched the show as I was beginning college and had recently finished high school. At the time, I didn't feel like an adult, still don't, and I was feeling very insecure about that. I thought something was wrong with me, that I was inherently childish, and these thoughts began to spiral a bit. Despite being a rather throwaway line to many, I genuinely had to pause the show and walk for a bit. It honestly recontextualized a lot for me, and it prompted me to tell my mother about it and ask if she thought the same. Turns out she did, and that made things much easier for me. I'm not a lost cause. Growing up is just a very, very weird feeling. This quote happened to be exactly what I needed to hear at the right time. It honestly helped me a lot. Story 53. If we are troubled by any external thing, it is not the thing itself which troubles us but merely our estimation of it. And this we are free to revoke at any time. Marcus Aurelius. Story 54. The only way out is through. I have it tattooed around my throat. Story 55. You suffer more in your imagination than in reality. Seneca. Story 56. Desire can be compared to fire. If we grasp fire, what happens? Does it lead to happiness? If we say, "Oh, look at that beautiful fire. Look at the beautiful colors. I love red and orange. They are my favorite colors." And then grasp it, we would find a certain amount of suffering entering the body. If we contemplate the cause of that suffering, we discover it is the result of having grasped that fire. With that understanding, we would hopefully let the fire go. Once we let fire go, we know that it is something not to be attached to. This does not mean we have to hate it or put it out. We can enjoy fire. It is nice to have a fire. It keeps the room warm, but we do not have to burn ourselves in it. Ajahn Sumdho. Story 57. God does not listen to your prayers. God does not watch what you do. If God were to listen, it would be with God's ears, and all that was said and will be said would be known to him. If God were to watch, it would be with God's vision, and all that has, is, and will be would be seen. For you to have free will, God must ignore you, for God must be God, and you must be you. This just seemed to turn a light bulb on in my head. I save my hope and prayers now for a really good jelly donut. Story 58. A problem requires a trip to the hospital or police station. Everything else is just an inconvenience. Story 59. Do not take special things for granted. They may only last a little while. Story 60. The definition of hell is that you get to meet everything you could have been. Story 61. A lack of planning on your part does not constitute an emergency on my part. Story 62. In regard to self-esteem, this was powerful for me and helped me see myself in a different light. Story 63. The world does not stop and start at your own convenience. Story 64. Do not get mad at lazy people. They did not do anything. Story 65. The thing is, the harder it is to recognize someone's right to draw breath, the more crucial it is. If humanity is going to prove itself worthy of surviving, it cannot do it on a case-by-case basis. A bad man feels his death just as keenly as a good man. Battlestar Galactica, The Hub. This pretty much shaped a core worldview that I have and drove me to be against the death penalty. Story 66. May your heart remain breakable but never broken by the same hand twice. And even louder, without your past, you could never have arrived so wondrously and brutally, by design or some violent, exquisite happenstance here. Story 67. Wash the dishes while you cook. It will save you from having a bigger mess to clean later. Thanks, Mom. Story 68. If a baby doesn't cry, the baby doesn't eat. Make a fuss to get the service you deserve. Speak up and know your worth. Story 69. The brighter the picture, the darker the negative. Rupert Thorne, Batman, the animated series. He is talking about digging up dirt on Harvey Dent and is told that Dent is squeaky clean. Then he says that line. That has stuck with me since the 1990s. It is very accurate in my opinion. Story 70. Normal is an illusion. What is normal for a spider is chaos for a fly. My favorite quote from Morticia Adams. Story 71. If you cannot control it, do not worry about it. If you can control it, why are you worried? Change it. Story 72. If you feel like you hate everyone, eat. If you feel everyone hates you, sleep. If you feel like you hate yourself, shower. If you feel overwhelmed by your thoughts, write them down. If you feel stuck in the past, plan for the future. If you feel anxious about the future, focus on the present. If you feel restless, take a long walk. If you feel like giving up, remember time helped you succeed. Story 73. I have learned that people will forget what you said. People will forget what you did, but people will never forget how you made them feel. Maya Angelou. Story 74. You can be the sweetest fruit on the tree, but some people just do not like peaches. Story 75. Why are they so needy? Oh, it's because they need me. Totally changed the way I parent. Story 76. Imagine you are on your deathbed, and standing around your bed are the ghosts of your unfulfilled potential. The ghosts of the ideas you never acted on, the ghosts of the talents you never used. They stand around your bed, angry, disappointed, and upset. They say, "We came to you because you could have brought us to life, and now we have to go to the grave together." So I ask you today, how many ghosts will be around your bed when your time comes? Story 77. Don't pursue happiness. Create it. I found this saying in a fortune cookie and have kept it at my desk for years. Story 78. Great spirits have always encountered violent opposition from mediocre minds. Story 79. Everything you have ever wanted is on the other side of fear. Story 80. Letting go is not forgetting. It is remembering without fear. Story 81. Grow where you are planted. I always took it as if you're not happy where you currently are. Embrace it and learn from it until you can change it. It does not do any good to stay stagnant just because you are happy with your current situation. Story 82. Life becomes easier when you learn to accept the apology you never received. Robert Brault. Story 83. I get to have wrinkles. Spoken to me by a woman who is among the first generation to reach middle age in the spina bifida community. I always think of it when I see my aging face. Aging is truly a privilege. Story 84. A boy does what he wants to do. A man does what he has to do. Story 85. Not all urination times are defecation times, but all defecation times are urination times. Story 86. People will believe any falsehood, either because they want it to be true or because they are afraid it is true. Story 87. I believe there is a hero in all of us that keeps us honest, gives us strength, makes us noble, and finally allows us to die with pride, even though sometimes we have to be steady and give up the thing we want the most, even our dreams. Story 88. Do not attribute to malice that which can be explained by ignorance or stupidity. This idea helped me deal with and become less annoyed by people constantly making poor decisions at work. Story 89. My mom always said, put no one above you, and never put anyone below you. Story 90. Le vent se lève, il faut tenter de vivre. I studied French literature for a time in the 1990s. This quote is from Le Cimetière by Paul Valéry, The Graveyard by the Sea. When we were studying this particular work, I was reeling from the recent loss of someone I cared deeply about, and it helped me get through that time in my life. The wind rises, we must try to live. More recently, this work heavily influenced a semi-biographical Studio Ghibli film about a man who, in real life, was the principal designer of World War II Japanese fighter aircraft. It was ironic because the person I had lost in the 1990s served as an aviator in the United States Navy Pacific Fleet during World War II. Story 91. The Pain of Discipline or the Pain of Regret. Jim Rohn. Story 92. Marcus Aurelius is such a goldmine. You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength. Really contemplate that. One of the most beloved Roman emperors at the height of the empire's strength, one of the most powerful people to have ever lived, strongly believed much of what happened was beyond his control and focused his efforts on recognizing what he actually can do. If you are distressed by anything external, the pain is not due to the thing itself but to your estimate of it, and this you have the power to revoke at any moment. I saw the Jean-Luc Picard quote about losing, also phenomenal. I also like the quote by Data with his daughter about why try to do something impossible, becoming human. Until I realized, it is the struggle itself that is most important. We must strive to be more than we are. It does not matter that we will never reach our ultimate goal. The effort yields its own rewards. Story 93. Live life simple. We are so consumed by consumerism, living with the keeping up with the Joneses lifestyle. Keep life simple. Story 94. There is always going to be something, and that cannot be your excuse anymore. Story 95. Ain't no rest for the wicked. Work at what you love, and you'll never have to work another day in your life is not true. Nobody cares if you die, not even your mom. Be wise. Go for the money. That's all that counts in this life. Story 96. Self-fulfilling prophecy. My mom used to say it all the time, and it drove me nuts, but it really is like that. Story 97. Patience is a virtue, just not one of mine. My father. Story 98. Don't be afraid of death. Be afraid of the unlived life. It's a journey, you know? When you're a child, you see the life you want, and it never crosses your mind that it will not turn out that way. Story 99. You're harming yourself at a job that will replace you in a week. Take care of yourself. I do not know if he is the original source, but I saw Jet Li say it once. Story 100. Sometimes you win, sometimes you lose, but you live. You live to fight another day. Story 101. You are not going to be able to control whatever happens in your life, nor will you have a say in it, but how you treat the people around you is up to you. Story 102. Touch things only once, my mother said. Make your bed every morning, my mother also said. I love you, but I don't like you right now, said Mom. Story 103. With great power comes great responsibility. I genuinely live my life by this. Story 104. One person can make a difference. Everyone should try. John F. Kennedy. He died almost exactly 1 year before I was born, but that quote really pushed me to try to make a difference. Story 105. If you are the smartest person in the room, leave the room. Story 106. In order to achieve greatness, you need 5 things. 1. Humility. 2. Reverence. 3. Inspiration. 4. Deep purpose. 5. Joy. From The Man Who Tapped the Secrets of the Universe by Glenn Clark. Story 107. You did exactly what you were supposed to do at exactly the right time in your life. Story 108. Whenever I am about to do something, I think, would an idiot do that? If they would, I do not do that thing. Daniel K. Simmons. Story 109. Everything will be okay in the end. If it is not okay, then it is not the end. I forgot who quoted it. Story 110. The more you do not want to tell somebody something, the sooner you should tell them. Story 111. Death is just another path, one that we all must take. Story 112. It is not who I am underneath, but what I do that defines me. Batman Begins. Story 113. You don't have to set yourself on fire to keep other people warm. It really struck me that I was hurting myself to keep other people comfortable, and I couldn't keep going like that. This quote was the motivation I needed to step away from a 10-year relationship. Story 114. When people show you who they are, believe them. Maya Angelou. Story 115. My kindergarten teacher always said, remember you are a very special person and the most important person in your life. I will always remember that. Story 116. You are the only one who has to live with yourself for your entire life. It is better to make sure you enjoy it. Story 117. People only work for people and nothing else. No money, no perks, nothing. If you do not like your boss, you will not give your 100%. Story 118. There is no greater indignation than that of the justly accused, and evil flourishes when good people do nothing. Story 119. You will never regret doing the right thing, even if it does not seem to pay off right away. Story 120. You cannot truly call yourself peaceful unless you are capable of great violence. If you are not capable of violence, you are not peaceful. You are harmless. I cannot remember where I read this, but it reminded me to stand up for myself and my family. Do not back down from someone trying to hurt the ones I love. Similar to this is the saying, never throw the first punch, but always throw the second, third, fourth, and fifth. Do not start conflict. Finish it. This was advice from my ex's grandmother. I still carry these words with me. I was always a pacifist and did not want anything to do with confrontation. Now, I do not back down from someone trying to hurt me or my family. Story 121. It was something like this. When you are speaking with someone or trying to have a deep conversation with a person, they will only meet you as deep as they have met themselves. This idea has stayed with me for life because since reading that quote, it has made me realize that many people have not met themselves that deeply. It has also helped me understand how deep I can connect with anyone, such as friends, family, and partners. Story 122. Burn the boats. It's pretty much like there is no turning back now, and it really helps me commit to things I am second-guessing. Story 123. You should not worry about what other people think of you because no one ever thinks about you. Brian K. Vaughan Saga. Sounds cold, but it has helped me be less anxious around people. Got a pimple? Bad hair day? Do not freak out. Others will notice, but they will not care. Everybody is busy living their own lives. Story 124. To embrace truth, one must surrender to reality. Stephanie Dowrick. Story 125. Everyone you will ever meet knows more than you about something. This completely changed the problem I had of judging people before I met them. Keeps me humble and open-minded when I meet new people. It also made me find people more interesting. Story 126. There is no such thing as rock bottom. You can always dig deeper until you are dead. Story 127. Know your audience. I had a composition and literature teacher in high school who had this printed as a banner on the wall of his classroom. Be aware with and to whom you are speaking or for whom you are writing is the lesson I took from that. Heeding this advice has allowed me to tailor my statements to the audience in front of me, which informs how I express my thoughts when writing or speaking. It has had a profound impact on my life, personally and professionally. Thank you, Mr. Ashmore. This was the only thing I got out of your classes, but it was very important. Story 128. If you get this wrong, you cannot be executed for it and your mother will still love you. Words of wisdom from my physics professor in the 90s. Story 129. I can't remember where I read it, but one quote I liked was, "There is no requirement for life to be fair. It is grim, but when you realize that some people will just luck into a good life, you can start to appreciate the things that you have lucked into." Story 130. You're not lazy, you just have poor planning. From a fellow Reddit user. He was speaking about his fiancée, how she was kind and caring but a poor planner, so she was always late. He said she added an hour to her morning routine, and it helped. It hit me like a ton of bricks because being late was my worst quality, and I was always anxious because I was late. I added an hour to my routine, and I haven't been late to anything since. Story 131. The grass is greener where you water it. Also, to say your problems have no concern of mine is like saying your end of the boat is sinking. Story 132. If you cannot take care of yourself, you cannot take care of anyone. Story 133. If you judge a fish by how well it can climb a tree, it will spend its whole life believing it is useless. Genuine acceptance and grace that we are all individuals with distinct strengths, weaknesses, and desires absolutely changed my whole perspective on giving more grace, accepting more grace, and how I see the world working together. Story 134. Consider how hard it is to change yourself, and you will understand how little chance you have in trying to change others. Jacob M. Broad. Story 135. Until you change your thinking, you will always recycle your experiences. Story 136. I think it was Dustin Hoffman on Wogan or something, and he was talking about inertia. I have had trouble moving from planning to doing, thinking I was not ready. The quote addressed this, and it is very simple: just begin. It is my favorite word, and it has never let me down at the point where I find hesitation. So yeah, begin. Story 137. One day your life will flash before your eyes. Make sure it is worth watching. Story 138. Sometimes you are the hammer. Sometimes you are the nail. Cast your stones, cast your judgment, you do not make me who I am. Story 139. If you aren't first, you are last. Ricky Bobby. No, but on a serious note, life is too short to take anything too seriously. Just enjoy life. Love the people who are always there for you, and be there for them. My father. Story 140. I can't think of any, but I like the type of quotes that slap me in the face and humble me as a person. Story 141. Your heart may race every time you are about to speak up for yourself. This does not mean it is wrong. It means it did not feel safe when you spoke up in the past. Have grace for yourself. Breathe through it and speak. Your voice deserves to be heard. Saadia Zet Yunus. Story 142. Love those that have the sometimes difficult tasks of loving you. Story 143. Just because I am efficient at what I do does not mean I want to do your job too. Story 144. Accepting a loss is better than embracing failure. For me, I realized that if you never try because you are scared to fail, there is only one outcome. Trying and failing means you embrace two possible outcomes. Keep trying, and there are two possible outcomes, one of which is moving forward. Do not be afraid of failing. It means you may have one. Keep trying. Story 145. Our greatest weakness lies in giving up. The most certain way to succeed is to try one more time. Thomas Edison. Story 146. Our goal should be to live life in radical amazement. Get up in the morning and look at the world in a way that takes nothing for granted. Everything is phenomenal. Everything is incredible. Never treat life casually. To be spiritual is to be amazed. Abraham Joshua Heschel. I think about this every single day. Story 147. You are too young to be a company man for this company. This was said to me by a more seasoned employee when I was concerned that my employer was not willing to allow me a couple of hours of flexibility per month in my overtime schedule to attend school for some industry certifications. I ignored the boss, attended anyway, gained some education, and moved on. It was the best decision I made in my early career. Story 148. A customer once told me, I do not want you to come to me with problems. Come to me with solutions. 10 years later, when my supervisor said, you never come with problems, only solutions, it felt great and explained the quick promotions. Story 149. We cannot all do great things, but we can do small things with great love. Mother Teresa. Story 150. Failure is not the opposite of success. It is the path to it. Karamo Brown, excerpt from his book, Karamo. Blew me away when I read it and still live my life by it. Story 151. A child needs your love the most when they deserve it the least. Emma Bombeck. Story 152. Things work out best for those who make the best of how things work out. I am not sure of the origin, but I read it on a church sign years ago. Story 153. We're all going to die. The only question is when. This is as good a place as any to take your first steps to heaven. The question is how you check out. Do you want to go on your feet or on your knees begging? Dylan Alien 3. Story 154. I always think back to, if you are tired of starting over, stop giving up. Story 155. Your body is a vessel. Treat it as such. This was said in an offhand comment by a religious customer of mine. I am not religious myself, but that has stuck with me for 7 years now. Good advice. You only have one body. Do not mess it up. Story 156. This too shall pass. Whenever I find myself in a difficult time, I remember that it will pass, and eventually things will get better somehow. It has helped me through some of the hardest times in my life, and I will be forever grateful for that. Story 157. When you are wearing rose-colored glasses, all the red flags just look like flags. Diane. Story 158. Negativity does not bring you anything good. Someone told me this in my 20s and it changed my behavior and thoughts forever. Story 159. There are 2 quotes that I have found myself repeating over the years. Just do the next right thing, one thing at a time. Glennon Doyle Melton. If you want to live a happy life, tie it to a goal, not to people or things. Albert Einstein. Story 160. Don't think you are doing anyone a favor by tolerating something. Either be wholehearted about it or don't do it at all. I was once told this by a colleague, and it stuck with me. Story 161. You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this and you will find strength. Marcus Aurelius. Story 162. It should not matter what deity someone worshipped, but whether they made the lives of those around them better or worse. Story 163. Do not listen to criticism from someone you would not ask for advice. Story 164. Life happens for you, not to you. The secret to living is giving. Stay humble, stay hungry. The most important time is now. Everything happens for a reason. Attitude is the difference between being in your way or on your way. When times are good, be grateful. When times are tough, be graceful. Short-term sacrifices for long-term gain. Discipline weighs ounces, but regret weighs tons. What you are not changing, you are also choosing. Story 165. Some women choose to follow men, and some women choose to follow their dreams. If you are wondering which way to go, remember that your career will never wake up and tell you that it does not love you anymore. Stefani Germanata. Story 166. If you aim for the mountain, the least you gain is a hill. If you want 100% on something, give your 120%. Story 167. The real question you should be asking is, what do we owe to each other? Story 168. I don't like peaches, but I don't want anything bad. She waits for me, maybe because she wants attention or because she has complications. I miss my son, but he doesn't care. He told me to say something about him. I have to cry a little because I always work. I can't do it again because I have nothing. I feel this way, but they know. I told you, maybe you understand how I feel now. Story 169. And today the birds sang. Just some Pinterest photo, but as someone who thinks a lot about dying, it has really helped. Story 170. Everything happens for a reason, which helps me stay optimistic. Story 171. It is like that sometimes. It is what it is. Build people up. Do not bring them down. Story 172. Your mind and heart have to be strong to overcome temptation, my mom said. She was yelling at me, but I don't remember anything else because once she said that, I just thought it would be a great tattoo. Story 173. Do you want to be a prune or a plum? This is how my mother-in-law got me drinking water. Story 174. Happiness should not be a goal because it is a feeling. Story 175. If it takes less than a minute to put something away, just put it away. In line with the theme of a clean home, the things you own end up owning you. Story 176. I'm feeling like the concept of a plan is going to be life-changing. Seriously though, someone told me to try my best to be present because time has a funny way of flying when you aren't paying attention. I struggle with not living in my head or worrying about the future, but I try to live in the now, especially as a father. Story 177. The most important thing I learned on Tralfamadore was that when a person dies, he only appears to die. He is still very much alive in the past, so it is very silly for people to cry at his funeral. All moments, past, present, and future, always have existed and always will exist. The Tralfamadorians can look at all the different moments just the way we can look at a stretch of the Rocky Mountains, for instance. They can see how permanent all the moments are, and they can look at any moment that interests them. It is just an illusion we have here on Earth that one moment follows another like beads on a string, and that once a moment is gone, it is gone forever. When a Tralfamadorian sees a corpse, all he thinks is that the dead person is in a bad condition in that particular moment, but that the same person is just fine in plenty of other moments. Now, when I myself hear that somebody is dead, I simply shrug and say what the Tralfamadorians say about dead people, which is, so it goes. Story 178. All that you touch, you change. All that you change, changes you. The only lasting truth is change. God is change. Octavia Butler. Story 179. I have found that whoever wields the sword decides who holds the pen. No one is untouchable. These statements have more or less redefined my views on the often hopeless circumstances of my life. Story 180. The word God is for me nothing but the expression and product of human weaknesses, Einstein wrote to Gutkind. The Bible is a collection of venerable but still rather primitive legends. No interpretation, no matter how subtle, can change anything about this. From a book I got of Einstein's quotes for an assignment in middle school. I grew up in a Mormon family but never felt comfortable with the church or religion in general. Reading this quote and others in the book at 13 or 14 years old seemed to crystallize all the doubts and questions I had had for a long time. Not long after, I told my parents I did not believe in the church and wanted to stop going. They forced me to continue for another year or so but finally let me stop. I am 41 years old, and I am grateful to this day that I read that book. Story 181. Not an exact quote, but right out of high school, my brother welcomed me into adult life and told me to live within my means. We came from a lower middle-class family, so he sat me down and told me to be smart with my money. I don't need the newest phone. I just need one that works. I don't need a flashy car. I need one that gets me from point A to point B. He taught me that living within my means and the cards we were dealt would help me much more in the long run than trying to show that I'm wealthier than I am. It always stuck with me, and I think I'm doing pretty okay. Still not the wealthiest, got a phone that works and a car that drives, and I'm drowned in debt. Story 182. Be a person of worldly intelligence if you desire to sit with kings. The man who carries only the limited scope of his village will be a laughingstock. Story 183. You can't touch without being touched. When I was a young and broke waitress, I thought about becoming a stripper. My older male friend told me this, and I instantly understood. Light bulb moment. If you are not going to define or name it, other people will. When starting my first business, I thought I could grow it organically. Then I learned about branding. If you rest, you rust. Now that I am officially old, this resonates more than ever. Story 184. Hard work is important. I have been in social services for over 10 years. That mantra has helped me and many others I've shared it with. Story 185. My home is there to serve me, not the other way around. Domestic blisters. Story 186. I will try anything once, twice if I like it, and 3 times to make sure. Story 187. It is the mark of an immature man to wish to die nobly for a cause, and the mark of a mature man to wish to live humbly for one. Thanks a bunch for sticking around till the end of the video. Remember to subscribe, and until next time, stay awesome and goodbye.